Hello, thank you for stopping by. My name is Becky and this is Bex Reads, and I am back on my collab game today, y'all. I have recruited several of my fellow booktubers to bring you a recommendation collab today featuring our favorite dark books. And if you know me, you know I don't read a lot of dark books. But nonetheless, an idea sprang, and I thought I would try and round up a good group of booktubers who read a variety of different things. And dark books are going to be subjective, because what somebody might consider dark, others might consider their cozy read. So you're sure to get a wide range of dark book recommendations from all genres today. So I will tag everybody who is participating in this collab down below, as well as link a playlist where you can find all of their videos for today. And thank you so much to everybody who wanted to participate in this collab with me. So as I mentioned, I don't read a lot of dark books because I am the epitome of a chicken. I prefer my cozy books over my dark, but I have read a handful. So here are some of my fave dark books. I'm going to start off with a couple of young adult recommendations. These are what I would say pretty dark for a young adult series, so take that with a grain of salt. But first up is one of my favorite series ever, and that is the Mark the Monster series by Rebecca Schaeffer. Book one is Not Even Bones. But in this, we are following a young woman named Nita who helps her mother murder and harvest the body parts of supernatural beings. In this world, like the blood of a vampire or the ground up dust of a unicorn horn can be sold on the black market to help other people with things. So her mother murders these supernatural beings who are essentially humans, just with supernatural abilities, and Nita is adept with a scalpel, so she harvests them up. And she doesn't really question this until one day she helps free a young man who her mother has brought in to harvest. She befriends him and she doesn't want to kill him. And in doing this, it sets off a chain of events in which Nita finds herself on the black market being sold. There, she befriends this other young man named Kovic, who feeds off of people's pain. He is considered one of the most monstrous of the supernatural beings because he just cannot help himself. But in order to break free, she needs his help, and she starts to learn that maybe he isn't the biggest monster, maybe it's the people who are selling these creatures. This gets very detailed in the harvesting of body parts. It deals with essentially black market human trafficking, but they're supernatural beings. It has a very diverse cast of characters, and it is a 3-book series. So I really enjoyed this. I wish more people would read it. The audiobooks are really well done. There's not a whole lot of romance in this. There is some asexual representation in it, but it also does have a very platonic friendship. So if that interests you and you're looking for something a little on the darker side of YA, highly recommend. My other YA recommendation is a YA thriller, and this is Screams You Hear by James Morris. In this, we are following a 16-year-old girl, Ruthie, who has washed ashore on the coast of Washington, burned beyond recognition. And when she's in the hospital, she is telling people that there is something very sinister going on her island town off the coast of Washington. And she's telling people that the adults have gone crazy and they are brutally attacking and murdering all of the children on this island. And nobody believes her until the mainland finally sees the results of the fire that burned Ruthie, and the news crew goes over there, and what they find is absolute destruction, and they realize that Ruthie was not lying about the events that took place. So it's the story of Ruthie recounting the past several days that led to her washing ashore burned. And this book hooked me from the get-go. I read it in one sitting. I could not put it down. It had a twist ending that I personally didn't see coming because I'm not very good at seeing twist endings coming. But I thought it was a great YA thriller. I don't typically read thrillers, so for one to just hook me and not let me go, I highly enjoyed this. And if you're looking for a YA thriller, you should check this one out. Let me recommend possibly the only dark romance series that I could think of that were my favorites, and that is the Bellendy Crime Syndicate series by Adelaide Forrest. The first book being Bloodied Hands. This is a dark mafia romance series following some deeply unhinged and over-the-top possessive heroes as they find their love interests. So this series varies on its level of darkness. I mean, it all has very dark elements to it. Mafia, killing, drug trafficking. I can't remember if there's like human trafficking. And in this one, we are following Mateo as he finds his love interest in a woman who he previously knew, but he had to cut ties with to protect her from his father. And this man is ridiculously possessive. He literally implants her with a tracking chip against her will. And I feel like the third book, Grieved Loss, is also one of the darker ones. In this, we follow Riker, who literally kidnaps the woman that he wants to be his and her children and forces them to play house and live together. I don't read a lot of dark romances because I don't enjoy dark romances. I like my sweet, lovable heroes. I don't like the super unhinged ones. So for me to enjoy this entire series of just crazy unhinged characters, there was just something about it. So that's my one and only dark romance recommendation that I absolutely love. My next recommendation is a historical fiction, which I don't know if people would consider this dark or not. It's more dark in the aspect that the main character is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and does some questionable things with humans and animals. Nothing sexual, but just some weird stuff. Anyway, that is The Resurrectionist by E.B. Hudspeth. Now, this is a very unusual book. It's very short, and it is split up. The first half of it is the fictional biography of Dr. Spencer Black, who is a doctor who was working in Philadelphia in the 1800s. And he is working with these patients who come in with deformities and growths on them. And he comes up with this very unusual hypothesis that maybe these people aren't disfigured. Maybe they are what humanity is supposed to evolve into. Because he comes up with this idea that humans evolved from mythological beings such as mermaids and griffins and things like that. Things with wings and all that sort of stuff. So, as I mentioned, he goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And he starts trying to manipulate human and animal bodies to recreate what he thinks is supposed to be the evolved species. He tries to combine animals with wings with human bodies and dogs with human bodies, and he's trying to prove his hypothesis correct. And it leads him to being shunned by the medical community, as you would imagine. And this book will leave you questioning things within the plot that are pretty, like, did he do that? Did he do that? Because that's crazy. So it's not like super dark in a graphic manner because it doesn't go into too much details, but it's just the idea of human experimentation is a pretty darkish subject in my opinion. And the latter half of this book is his diagrams of what he thinks humans evolved from. So it's like a science book and a biography in one. Very quick read, very crazy. One of my favorite dark fantasy romance is actually book 3 in a series, and that is Twisted as the Crown by Kel Carpenter. The series is the Dark Magi series. The first one is Fortune Favors the Cruel. Talked about this series a lot. This series is about Quinn, who is freed from slavery by Lazarus, who wants to use her dark magic to help him reclaim his throne. But Quinn, she is just set out for revenge against the people who sold her own family. So in this series, we are following Lazarus, Quinn, and his band of people as they are traveling across this continent to try and train Quinn in how to take charge of her dark ability. She's a fear twister, so that means that she can bring people's darkest fears to life. And in this third book, they are actually in her childhood kingdom to confront her family. And when she gets there, she realizes that her sister is missing. So she sets out to try and find her sister while also taking some very much needed vengeance on the family who did her and her sister wrong. This kingdom is, much like this title, twisted. They are severely sadistic, severely depraved. I want to give you a warning that there is some talk of child sex slavery in this book. So if that's something you don't want to read about, be warned that this is in here. But the way that she takes her vengeance, oh my goodness. I was listening to this audiobook and I was just like staring at the wall like, damn. Get it, girl, but damn. She does not give a single fuck about the consequences of her actions. She's gonna do what she's gonna do, and that's the final say in it. And I really love her relationship with Lazarus because it is slow burn. It literally takes until this book for them to actually get to a physical relationship as well. So while this is also the spicier of the books, it's also the darkest of the books. But she does not let this man try and talk her out of doing things that she is going to do. And he accepts her for that. And it's just great. I love this series. I wish more people would read this series. Highly recommend, but this one darker. This next recommendation is one that I've never talked about ever because it is a dark book. And it's one that surprised me. It's called The Act of Laughing by Patrick Waltz. I actually worked with this author when I lived in Oklahoma. And when he found out that I reviewed books, he asked me if I would like to read and review this. And I was a little hesitant because, I mean, I worked with the man. And if I didn't like the book, you know, I'm a truthful person and I didn't want to be like, your book sucks. But this surprised me, okay? But in this, we were following this young couple who is ready to settle down with their new baby in this very exclusive gated community and just start living their American dream. But then they find out that this gated community is full of sinister secrets. Again, I want to warn you that this has some child sacrifice and some maybe sex cult stuff in it. Not like the children being part of a sex cult, but the adults are a sex cult and there's child sacrifices and stuff like that. So they are trying to figure out a way to leave this community, but that's proving very, very difficult. So they might have to pretend to be a part of this cult to save their child. Yeah, this book was really, really, really not something that I would normally read because it was just so messed up. I think I read it in one sitting, and I can say with confidence that former coworker, good job. Not that you'll ever see this video, but good job. And my last recommendation for my favorite dark books is a book series, really, that I really enjoyed reading it, but I don't think I could ever reread it because this book literally gave me a physical reaction to reading it. Like, the first few books were okay. I was highly entertained by what was going on, and then there became a storyline where my stomach hurt and my heart hurt reading this, and that is the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. So this is about Lana, who is a serial killer, and she is out for revenge against everybody in this small town who did her and her family wrong. Like, her family was severely, brutally bullied, and she is out to make them pay. She attracts the attention of the FBI, but nobody has been able to figure out who she is until Logan comes along and he's put on the case of finding this serial killer. Unbeknownst to him, his new girlfriend that he met at a coffee shop is Lana, that serial killer. So she is going about her time taking revenge on these people and taking revenge on anybody who she witnesses doing other people wrong. She is brutally torturing and murdering these people. She's good at it too. She's good at it. But she's also trying to stay under the radar so that her new boyfriend doesn't track her down and find her. But yeah, this series got dark on a level that made me uncomfortable. But I was all there for her revenge. I was all there for her taking her revenge and brutally torturing everyone in that small town because they all deserved it. But the things that were done to her and her family, oh my God, like I started feeling sick reading some of that stuff. So while some people might not consider this dark, I definitely did, because it went places that I did not want to go in my mind. But I do want to say that this book series is often marketed as a dark romance, and it's really not. There is such little romance in this book. It's more along the lines of a dark thriller. And based on the original covers of the ebooks, because it is 5 very short ebooks in a series, you can get the bind up for it, which is this cover, but they're 5 individual ebooks. Those covers give off the impression that this is going to be hella smutty, and it's not. It's not at all. So keep that in mind if you've never read this series. It's not super romantic and or smutty. It's just got a romance in the background, and there's a couple smut scenes within 5 books. But yeah, it got dark for my little soul, so that's why it's here. So those are some of my favorite dark books. Let me know down in the comments, have you read any of these, or what is your favorite dark book? It doesn't matter if anybody else considers it dark or not. Like, what do you consider your favorite dark book? And once again, thank you to all of my fellow booktubers who wanted to collab on this project. I appreciate you guys so, so much. I included some newer collaborative people with me. So welcome. I hope I can collab with you more in the future. And to everybody I invited back who has been collabing with me several other times, thank you for once again agreeing to do this with me. But check out their videos. It will be in the playlist linked down below, and go subscribe to their channels if you haven't already. And if you've made it to the end of this video and you don't have a favorite dark book to leave in the comments, just leave me a black heart emoji to let me know that you made it to the end. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, go read a dark book, no matter what dark means to you. Bye!